Hi, this is Graphically Alex, coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So, we're going to go ahead and continue this. I felt like doing another long one. So, we'll see how long it'll be. But it's just going to be longer than yesterday's video. But, anyways, let's go ahead and go.
Loved it. So I said to him, I was really upset. The sleep doctor, I was like, I'm kind of sad that the nose stickies didn't work because I felt it like to be soothing and comforting.
Yeah.
Well, we take that feeling and compare it to what's going on with like the fight or flight and the feeling and the apnea. It all kind of makes sense in this weird puzzle piece, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that we do when we're having a panic attack is big breath in, big exhales, right? It's like,
Yeah, I just have to reiterate, it sounds a lot like obesity-induced hypoventilation issues, which is where you have your physical belly blocking your deep breathing. And so it can cause those issues. And a lot of other issues, it's bad. You need to downsize. Sorry. You do. I'm not even sorry about it, but it's a thing.
well, it felt so good
Caused by
to just
obesity.
naturally have this cool air flowing into my nose more naturally.
Yeah.
So
Breathing is a big part of life. So I would say breathing is a reason to downsize. You ever notice how Amberlynn Reed, she'll say like, my breathing is okay today. You want to be like that? You don't. And I had issues like that. So, again, I don't know who's telling you it's not a big deal, or I don't understand what's going on with her quote unquote recovery. I don't get it. So, that's just very unfortunate.
with that said, it didn't help enough. The stickers did.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So I'm starting to use a CPAP machine.
Yeah.
Now, while we do not celebrate, oh my God,
I was gonna say, where are you going with this?
we don't celebrate, what is it called?
Diagnosis?
No, it's like we're not happy that I have a chronic condition, but we do celebrate that I'm taking care of it, is what my message said. Like I'm not
I
like
don't wish chronic.
Are you? Don't you think that downsizing would be part of managing sleep apnea? I would say 100%. 100%. I'm not saying not to use CPAP. I think CPAP is a part of working with the condition, part of it for sure. I'm totally supportive of it. I'm glad that you're doing that, but there's something else to be done. And that's just a fact.
Conditions on anybody.
yeah, I'm not.
There you go.
I'm not like, oh my God, yay! But I am like, okay, I took a step to take care of it. That's the gist of the message I sent.
Okay.
I think the message what I sent to you guys.
Bare fucking minimum. Bare minimum. Not good. This is the kind of culture they want normalized. That this is taking care of the issue. No. That's called the bare fucking minimum.
Guys and to my family was, we don't celebrate chronic illnesses, but we do celebrate taking care of them. And a
Only up
CPAP
to a
is coming
certain
to the
point.
Theobald household soon. So, interestingly enough, I went with the CPAP machine that is just the nose.
Yeah.
It's like the fresh air right up in the nose.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm gonna need the whole mouthpiece. I'm hoping I don't. I'm hoping that I could still use the mouth tape and the nose thing, and that will kind of do it. I'm not super thrilled about it, and I had to do a lot of.
Ink's so bright, it pops off the page.
One sec, you guys. I have to say, it's really irritating me to hear her talk about it like this, because she's not actually taking care of it. She's just not. And I just can't stand it. I just can't.
A lot of soul searching is a little like fluffy, but I had to do a lot of talk around the fat phobia that is associated with sleep apnea, and also a lot of validation in the sense that...
You mean the actual physical reality of the fat around your throat blocking your airways as you sleep, especially if you lay down. Now, I told you guys many times, I don't like to point out how somebody looks. So I'm not trying to give any kind of value judgment. We're talking completely physically here, okay? So we're not going to do any kind of judgment. We're talking about it physically. If you look at her neck, this is going to cause breathing issues. That's not good. You don't want that. Now, to really drive home that it's not about a value judgment, it's about physical reality. I also had similar issues, even just being very hypothyroid. I would get moon-faced very badly at certain times of the year or at certain times throughout downsizing or whatever. And my apnea would be worse because of the pressure here. But you can visibly see it on her. So that is an issue, Alyssa. That is a problem. It's a physical issue. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. It doesn't matter. It's a problem. Being able to sleep, being able to breathe while sleeping is really important. This is about as foundational and fundamental in life as you can get. Breathing. This is the level that we're at on this podcast. So I want you guys to really understand how bad this podcast actually is. That they're trying to normalize and have us accept that it's okay to not be able to breathe as well due to severe obesity. And by the way, Alyssa, as you go on in life, it will get worse, and it will start to happen when you're awake too, which I've talked about. It happened to me. It's not just when you're asleep. It can happen when you're awake. Because your belly literally physically gets in the way of breathing because it blocks. So if you sit in a certain position, you're not going to be able to breathe anymore. And these things get worse as you stay obese. Your muscles get weaker over time. Your hormones are trashed. Your cortisol is through the roof. Your adrenaline is higher when you're super morbidly obese. All these things are worse, and it breaks down your muscle tissue over time. So over time, those muscles involved with breathing also get weaker. And it's not natural aging. And I know that they would try to be like, no. No. That's not natural aging. No.
It runs in my family. And I have a lot of family members.
Do you have a lot of family members that are super morbidly obese? Serious question.
Members who have sleep apnea and like...
Listen, I think sleep apnea is one of those things that is more known now, right, than 10 years ago. And way more people are diagnosed now than...
Do you think that there's more people who are super morbidly obese now than 10 years ago? I would say so.
10 years ago, because it wasn't getting diagnosed doesn't mean those people didn't have sleep apnea. It doesn't mean it didn't contribute badly to their health, right?
100%.
And so, just for...
It's the magical thinking, too. And the way that they have to dance around it. Isn't it interesting?
For transparency's sake, me and Alex...
Eric's dog, Roxy, has apnea episodes and she's overweight. I've heard them. It's sad, actually. But she's a dog. You know, she doesn't have as much like agency to figure it out as a human being does. It just goes to show, though, that if you are obese, especially super morbidly obese, it really makes it much more likely that you're going to have sleep apnea. It's even true in the case of a dog. This is pretty basic. So I hope you guys are you're able to witness the absolute reality denial going on right now. Oh, that's the emotional bitch. That's their emotions. That's the emotion behind it. That's what I'm picking up. Let's think of anything else. See? And you guys have to see that stuff so you know that it's a lie. And if you see it in yourself too, you know it's a lie. It's just a lie, delusion, you know. Sometimes if it's not intentional, then it's just delusional. That's basically what I have to say.
Allie both have CPAPs. A lot of fat people have CPAPs. A lot of not fat people have CPAPs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I am not the greatest at using mine.
What do you define as fat? We need to talk about that. Because yes, even within class 1 obesity, it can be more of an issue. And if somebody still needs it, there's usually an explanation why. It doesn't just happen. It's not magic lottery. We have sleep apnea because we picked the lottery today. That's not what it is. There's different health conditions that cause it. One of which being obesity. Which, Alyssa, even if it wasn't the main cause, it will certainly be a compounding factor and it will make it worse. Which again, they always ignore too. Remember that obesity makes almost everything worse. If you have another condition, obesity will make it more complicated. Even if we're talking purely about the toxic ritualistic, if you are severely overweight or severely underweight within the toxic ritualistic, it is a complicating factor. That is just a mental health issue.
I need to get better.
Same.
To not, and
She's
not
on a different level than you, Queen. I'm so sorry.
yeah, I at least use it sometimes.
She does.
Mine's in my house somewhere. I moved recently.
January.
December.
Oh, yeah, even worse. Even worse in your timeline. But you know, we still love you.
I feel judged.
Well, just a
I feel
little.
judged in my safe space.
You know, we know that it came into your house in
It came into my house in
was
February?
that February or March?
February. It was
Yeah, end of February. So
End
yeah.
of February. I don't know what you're looking at me like that for.
Because how did it get in your house?
One of us brought it in with all the other shit in my car.
One of us. One of us.
Baby girl, I don't know if it was in your hand. Both of us were carrying shit from my car.
That's true.
Okay. Peace be with us now. And also with you.
And also with you.
We lift up our hearts.
I'll save this for my thing, but yeah, I'm having sleep issues too, and part of it's like, bitch, wear your CPAP.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to do all the things you want.
Hold on one second. Okay, sorry. I missed what they were talking about because I was thinking about something. So they both have it as well. They all have CPAPs now. So is this like the CPAP initiation ritual? Again, are we supposed to just ignore it? I guess so. Do they want to normalize CPAPs? Make everybody have to use a CPAP in America or something? Is that the goal here? I don't see why that's a worthy goal, why that's a positive goal, why that would be a good thing. Why don't we prevent it? What a crazy concept, right? Wow.
Tense.
Mine's in my house somewhere.
I guess that's fat phobic too. So fat phobic of me to not want everybody to have to use a CPAP.
I moved recently.
January.
December.
Oh, yeah, even worse. Even worse in your timeline. But, you know, we still love you.
I feel judged.
Well, just a
I
little.
feel judged in my safe space.
You know, we know that it came into your house in...
It came into my house in
Was
February?
that February or March?
February. It was
Yeah, end of February. So,
End
yeah.
of February. I don't know what you're looking at me like that for.
Because how did it get in your house?
One of us brought it in with all the other shit in my car.
One of us. One of us.
Baby girl, I don't know if it was in your hand. Both of us were carrying in shit from my car.
That's true.
Okay. Peace be with us now. and also with you.
and also with you.
We lift up our hearts.
I'll save this for my thing, but yeah, I'm having sleep issues too, and part of it's like, bitch, wear your CPAP.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to do all the things you want to and need to without good sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad you have a doctor that really was looking at so much.
Oh my gosh, the dancing around it. Isn't it wild? It's like, oh yeah, my weight doesn't matter at all, but we gotta get good sleep. It's like, whoa, do you even care? Oh, you know, if you don't get good sleep, you can't do everything you want to do in life. But it's totally okay to be super morbidly obese. That doesn't affect your life at all. It's truly wild. Like, truly, the dancing around that they do. I am just amazed. I'm amazed.
Data with you, because some of them don't, like, right? They do the original printout, like that's it. Whereas they really wanted to like talk about what's actually happening.
The company I'm working with, 10 out of 10. It is expensive. It has been worth every penny. And if you need, slide in my DM, I will send you the information.
Great.
I truly have loved them, but it's almost like a concierge doctor, sleep doctor. They're actually the sleep doctor that I first got connected with the company. This is confusing. I'm working with a sleep doctor in California. And that sleep doctor connected me with a company that they use to do the sleep testing. And that company, I think, is also in California, and they're the ones I'm doing the sleep study with. And then they send the information back to my other sleep doctor, but I haven't connected with my other sleep doctor yet. I've just been working with the company.
What a pretzel.
And none of them are able to suggest downsizing or anything, or at least point it out as an issue. Because why? And she'd probably, I wonder if she would say, because I'm in recovery and blah, blah, so I have to dance around all this. And it's like, that's not being in recovery. Being in recovery is being able to accept reality. What do you guys think was such a huge aspect of my personal, you know, what I call my tortured era? It was about waking up to the reality of my life, waking up to the reality outside of the toxic ritualistic. Because prior to that, in recovery, I was dealing with my super morbid obesity and trying to downsize within it, which was incredibly difficult physically. So I didn't have the energy to really think about the mental aspect until I was morbid. And that's when I went into my tortured Mo era, because I started to look at life and reality through a clear lens, both physically, through no longer being super morbidly obese. My brain had changed. My brain was changing. I was able to see things more clearly and able to process change easier. It's really hard to explain. But the way that you think when you're super morbid, it's just really different. I don't know how else to explain it. It's tough. I really have to work on it. But other than that, on the mental health side of the tortured era for me, I was dealing with the legacy of the toxic ritualistic and being able to see things clearly. It was hard. So being able to look at that and accept it, that is recovery. Being able to look at the physical reality of what I had done, the physical reality of where I was in life because of what I had done, and dealing with the fallout of it all. And in some cases, like I talked about in the last episode, when the opportunity for a new mattress came up, I took it. And I didn't have to be like, when I was super morbid, and be like, oh, I can't change that. I can't, because this mattress that I have, like, it works for the way my body is, and and you have to like constantly accommodate your body, constantly. And you can't just make a decision like, oh, I'm just going to use a new mattress. You don't have the luxury of that when you're super morbid. It's difficult. You have to try out the mattress. It may not work out. Why do you think my mom didn't want to keep it? The one that she had bought, because it didn't work out for her, because she's super morbid. Every single decision is like that. And when I was tortured and stuff, it was no longer that way. Things opened up. I could just use a different mattress. And when that happens on a day-to-day basis for months, with everything from personal issues, my views on romance and relationships, my views on finances, my views on work, I always was like, there's no way I could do full-time YouTube. I'm too tired. It wasn't true anymore in that era. It wasn't true. That's when I started full-time. April 2024. Look at how long I've gone. I'm fine. You see how many limits I used to have, and now I don't. That's recovery. Weight normalization is a part of recovery. It's absolutely true on the reductive side. It is absolutely true on the binge side. It is ridiculous to act as if it isn't. And I will not accept that on this channel. We do not accept that here. No. I understand not doing it instantly, but you better be working towards doing it, which she's indicated she's not many times. So while I would have no judgment for her needing a CPAP, I will have judgment for her never having plans to downsize. That is not taking care of yourself. That is not taking care of the issue, and that is not recovery. And as somebody who has recovered, it disgusts me. Not because I judge her as a person, but because I had a lot of false recoveries too. And that sucks. It's horrible. And that's reality. And that was hard to accept too. That all those other times I thought I was getting through, I never was. And then when I was tortured, I'm like, oh, honey, it's over. Because there were times when I missed it. And you can't miss something unless it's gone. Which that was fucked up. But it's very hard, and I understand how hard it is. But it's like somebody has to say it. You are not recovered, Alyssa. At all. Not even a little. I will say it. I will be the bitch in the room to say it.
Well, anyways. Hey everyone, did you know that the Fab Fatties are on Patreon?
Okay.
Yes, we
Let me try
are,
to skip
and you can
this.
follow
I'll
us
be
for
right back.
more behind the scenes.
So actually, I want to talk a little bit more about my false recovery. It happened in 2019. I had downsized quite a bit. I think I had lost 80-ish that year. And I was telling everybody that I was better. I was telling myself I was better, but I wasn't. I was being way too harsh, way overly reductive. Health was not my focus at all. It was completely about looks, and it was completely superficial. And I was more superficial than I'd ever been in my entire life in 2019. It was completely fake. On my Instagram, I actually have a picture from 2019 when I was in Las Vegas that year. And I looked at that picture and I thought about how it was fake. One second, let me read you the caption I wrote. Okay, so this is the picture. I know it's kind of a shitty way of looking at it on here, but whatever. And this is what it says. Throwback to the last time I went to Vegas. 2019. Oops, I forgot to put my headphones in. One second. Throwback to the last time I went to Vegas. 2019 was such a real time, filled with fake progress and hidden failures. It was a time when I really conceptualized what I wanted to do with my life, when I almost felt like I was going to launch, but ultimately 2020, which is the year after, showed every crack, flaw, and lie I still believed in, the biggest lie being my E fall by the letter D recovery. It is crazy how delusional we can be in thinking we can actually build a successful life on such a shaky foundation, aka the toxic ritualistic being that shaky foundation. These days, I know that everything I'm doing is built on solid ground, and thank God for that. So basically, false recovery can happen. I thought that my way overly reductive lifestyle was healthy, and it wasn't. It was delusional. I was delusional about it. And that's why I hamper so much on it not being an addiction, because people don't understand that you can go too far the other way. They don't think about that. When you think of it as an addiction, there's no proper amount of alcohol to drink. You can just never drink again. You can't do that with certain stuff. I can't even really say it. So you can't think of it as that within that addictive framework, because it's not. It's not the same mechanism. It's totally different. And for those of you who have struggled with it, if you view it that way, you can go to an overly reductive place, and that's still the same problem. It's the same. It's about balance. It's about a happy medium. It's about realistically viewing food and not being delusional. It is a delusion. It's a delusion and an obsession, which obsessions can look like addictions. They can. Delusions, there's a lot of delusion in addiction too. There's similarities for sure, but the mechanism is different, and it has to be understood. Because when I thought that I was a food addict, I never was further from recovery. I never got out of it, which is why I cannot ever suggest it, and I won't. Not on this channel. I view it as a toxic ritualistic reinforcement, because it plays into the shaming aspect of the problem, which fuels into a cycle. And I think people that talk about it in that way, they do it from a good place, or they're trying to understand, but it's not similar, and it isn't helpful. And I will say that. It's not. What you need to understand is you're playing a game with yourself. These women, they're all playing a game. Look at the mental games, the mental gymnastics they are playing. That's a game. They're not living in reality. I think one of the hardest things for people to understand is it's not about the food, it's about control. Which a lot of people can understand that on an intellectual level somewhat, or like they'll understand it on like a rote memorization aspect, like as if it's on a flashcard, but they won't actually process it deeply. But what is the difference between an addiction and the toxic ritualistic? One is about being out of control. The other is about being in control. You're always in control. Control is a huge aspect of the problem. Think of Anna O'Brien with her bagel. She was upset she wasn't in control of the exact bagel that she wanted. Is an addict going to care what kind of alcohol they're drinking? No. It's a different mechanism. Similar but different. Similar but different. Let's continue.
The only other update I think I really have is Billy has been actually really trying. I hope this doesn't come across toxic. He's been really trying to like take care of himself, and I hope this comes across positively because it is. But like Billy being
A little bit of editing there. Interesting.
a firefighter, like they don't eat all of their meals.
Yeah.
And like they're always on the go and like everything. And Billy's been told for a while that he does not eat enough protein for like what he does. So he's been really trying to hit his protein markers and like hit his things. So he has been making a diet push, but I mean diet in the sense of like what food he's eating, not.
Wow, this is so interesting. Look at this. Whew. I told you guys one of the most similar aspects between this issue and addiction is the sort of competitive weirdness, the obsession with what other people are doing. That is like one-for-one comparison. Crabs in the bucket, one-for-one comparison. Hating the person that got out, one-for-one comparison. Super similar. That is all like, boom, right there. And that's what this is giving me. Like, this is so bizarre. It's not normal. This is not normal. The dancing around, Look, if you're talking about someone else's diet, you should be like, yeah, they're doing this. I agree with it in this way or I don't, but whatever. Unless if it's like super crazy. But if it's within the realm of normal, like, it's not that big of a deal. There's a lot of gray area and leeway. Look at my cupping. I did cupping on my bicep. There's a lot of leeway within a normal diet. So it's like, chill, you know? Don't be like she almost has to like defend her man against her friends and stuff like that. Like, that isn't normal.
In the sense of he's dieting.
He's making a nutrition push.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
He's making a.
Okay, so if we call it something different, then it's something else. It's stupid. We have to change this so it can fit within our delusional framework.
Conscious decision to have more protein.
Exactly. And like honestly eat more calories to like sustain what he's doing. But what's been hard is
She
that
has to really make sure she says that. Because what if somebody was eating less calories to try to sustain what they're doing? To try to get healthier? That wouldn't be okay. That's never okay. See? You'll always see that. Always look for them to do some kind of qualifying statement. Well, obviously, like, you could eat too much. They never say that. Ever. They never will.
he has brought some food into the house for himself of things that we used to eat when we were like hardcore dieting. So I've had to talk about this a lot, you know?
gosh.
And Taryn framed it so beautifully. And I think I'm going to jump to that first and then go back. But Taryn was like, people can eat a rice cake as a snack with peanut butter on it.
Yeah.
To eat a rice cake with peanut butter and not because they're dieting.
Sure.
Right? Billy, he can have yogurt and fruit.
So this is recovery. This is recovery? So it is recovery that you cannot handle another person bringing in food. That's not recovery. That's not even close. You can't even handle seeing a rice cake. I've had times where I've been around family members and friends They're eating full-on fast food and everything. Do you know what I feel? Nothing. That's recovery. I don't give a fuck. I might care, like, oh, I don't think that's healthy at all. Or, oh, I hope they don't do that all the time, because that's bad. But am I emotionally disturbed? No. Does it have anything to do with what I'm doing? No. Am I in competition with anybody? No. Does it matter? On an emotional level? No. It doesn't. It matters on a physical level, but again, I'm okay with not being in control. So I'm not sitting thinking about it all night and stuff. Like, I don't care. That's recovery. This is not recovery, Alyssa. And it really makes me mad that she is trying to model this as some kind of recovery. That is just disgusting to me.
And with granola or whatever for breakfast because he wants to have a parfait for breakfast, not because he's dieting.
Sure.
And then
Why should you care? Tell me now. And they don't even question it. Oh, why do you care? No, I totally understand why you care. What? Why does it matter? That would be my question. And she would not be able to give an answer. She wouldn't. It'd be one of those, because it's not based on anything. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. It just doesn't. Now, I understand working on recovery. I understand not being recovered fully. That I get. And I understand maybe seeing it here or there. It could be a trigger or whatever. But don't get on here and say you're recovered, Alyssa. You're not. Don't act like you're a model of it. You're not. That's not the end goal. The end goal is I see somebody else eating something and I don't feel anything. That's the end goal. I think about it completely logically, or even just not at all, because it's not my business. That's recovery. Gosh, I'm so glad that my brain isn't filled with that stuff anymore. But I understand it. And remember, I'm mad at her for acting like she's recovered. That I am mad at. But I'm not mad at her as a person. I really get angry about the problem itself. That's what really upsets me. And I'm mad that nobody will call her out. Nobody will give some kind of other perspective. Well, why does it matter? And people they don't do that with these issues. They don't. There won't. I can't say anything. She has the fall by the letter D. That's bullshit. Ask a question. Ask a question. There is something totally different about talking about someone's appearance and talking about why do you feel any kind of way about what he's eating? You see how it's different? It's not the same. I understand digging at somebody's appearance. I don't even like pointing it out in the discussion, but I will when we have to. Because even still, regardless of not wanting to trigger somebody, I still will speak reality. And if you have fat around your neck, or if you're swollen around your neck, it will cause sleep apnea issues. That is reality. And if it triggers, I'm sorry, but it is reality. But see, I made sure no value judgment, not talking about any of that. That I understand. I don't think there's value in picking apart somebody's appearance. I don't. I will say that till the cows come home. But picking apart somebody's logic, the mindset, and at times, yes, their emotions, which a lot of people worship emotions. I'm a very emotional person. I get it. But also, they can be wrong sometimes. Having an emotional response that has to be disqualified and, oh my gosh, she was eating a rice cake. That is not normal. That's an obsession that needs to be addressed, that needs to be recovered, that needs to be unpacked and worked on. Which she's trying to act like, oh, okay, well, but it's like you're not recovering because you couldn't even handle the idea of somebody around you downsizing. That would be so threatening to you on an identity perspective that you have to sit here and calm yourself down over the fact that somebody's eating a rice cake. That's how deep it goes. And she doesn't see that that's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. I will point it out. It is ridiculous.
I'm like, right. I think it's just, it makes me a little uncomfortable. And this is the same work I had to do like with the cucumbers and the salad, right? Like I got to a place where I'm eating a cucumber for lunch because I wanted to eat a cucumber, not because I'm dieting. But it's just been this uncomfortable dynamic. It's not a bad thing. I just didn't realize how uncomfortable it was going to make me feel.
Sure.
And Billy has made it very clear, like, he's not dieting. There's no weight loss goal involved here. He truly is trying to just feel good in his body and give his body what he needs. Love.
And even if he was, why would that be so triggering to you? It's something that needs to be unpacked, I mean. Because guess what, Alyssa? One day you're going to go to work, or you're going to be around somebody, or you might become best friends with somebody, or maybe one of your best friends will suddenly say, I need to downsize, and you're going to have to deal with it. How are you going to deal with it? Don't you think it would be better to uproot the depths of the entire idea of it, that we are a group of collective bodies, that we're in competition, that if somebody else does something, it has to change what I do and all this stuff? Not necessarily, no. If somebody around me is eating fast food, I don't have to eat it. It's just that simple. And if somebody around me is eating a rice cake, I don't have to eat it. Again, I do have a lot of thoughts on diet culture, which this is what I will give you guys to start with for my viewers. I will be defining diet culture as food or other stuff, but basically food that has less calories and costs more money, or it has more protein and costs more money for less calories. That is diet culture, which there's a place for it, but it's also kind of corny BS at the same time. Like, for me, it's when I am feeling a little bit hungry, and so I have to buy a jar of pickles for like $3 or $4, and it stings me because I have to buy that for like hardly any calories. Or when I buy this freaking cranberry juice, whatever, that's 5 calories a serving. To me, that's diet culture. It's like, you kind of know it's like a waste of money, but it makes things more bearable. So I do think we have to talk about it. And I plan on doing that soon. Because they've taken it and they've made it into its E fall by the letter D. It's not necessarily that. It's not. But it is gimmicky. And it's cringe. But sometimes it does help. And so we're going to have to make that less black and white and make it more of a gray thing. That's something I want to talk about. Okay? Especially as we get towards the next era.
Totally support. Rock
But
on.
regardless, while I may have made fun of Eric's like rice cake air, expensive air, which is basically what it was. I understood it. I didn't necessarily want one when I was there because I wanted to eat when I was there. But oh well, just like if somebody, I think it's just so bizarre to me that it ever made sense to me that I have to always change and revolve my habits around what other people are doing. It's so bizarre. It's like musical chairs within the toxic ritualistic. It's weird. But I never really thought about it until I just saw her do this. And I was like, I remember that aspect. The musical chairs. Gosh. And to me, that's where I get upset sometimes because it's like I wasted so much mental energy on this shit. And you know, all of us have that have had this problem. We all have. It's just so dumb.
On. And then we're using like Primal Kitchen dressing, which is fine. He actually likes it, right? And I'm like, oh my God, we used to do the whole 30.
It makes sense. Honestly,
I
it
know.
makes sense. It
doesn't.
It makes sense because we have years and years.
No, not her backing up this BS. Look at this reinforcement in action. She should be saying, that is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Because when you give somebody credit, it's reinforcing. You're right, I should feel this way. So it doesn't change. Do you see the difference? You can't say that. I say, why do you feel anything at all? Well, because of this, and society said this, and da-da-da. Really? Like, I haven't seen that much about Whole30. Like, you know, I feel like I have to look for it. It's not like I'm seeing commercials for it every second on TV, like I might if I were looking at like a fast food commercial or a drug commercial. There's so many of those. Oh my goodness. I don't see tons of commercials for Whole30 or whatever. And honestly, TV is not society. I'm looking at the TV. It's off. Just saying. It's off. You gotta challenge some of these things. These are like foundational beliefs of the toxic ritualistic. They're like pillars of it. You gotta challenge them.
Years of associating
Yes.
these foods and
Obsessing.
and placing moral values on foods. And so like
They still do. They just inverted it. So now Primal Kitchen dressing is evil. See? They didn't change. When I think of Primal Kitchen dressing, I think, I think it has a lot of avocado oil in it. It's not ideal for hypothyroidism. It's not ideal for my goals, for my health goals at this time. So I'm not going to have any. See? It's just logical, whatever. But if somebody else had it around me, I honestly would not even bat an eye. You see? I hope I'm making sense.
it makes sense why a quote unquote normal person, whatever, like I don't mean to use that right now, but that's just where my brain is going, would be able to just say, oh, there's new shit in the house, whatever, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense why
That's how it should be.
someone who's
Which you should get there. That would be recovery. That is my point. Which they're going to be like, but you'll never recover, Alyssa. You'll never be that way. You'll never get better. Let's see. I'm going to watch this in full.
It makes sense. Honestly, it
know.
makes sense. It makes sense because we have years and years of associating
Yes.
these foods and associating and placing moral values on foods. And so like it makes sense why a quote unquote normal person, whatever. Like I don't mean to use that right now, but that's just where my brain is going. Would be able to just say, oh, there's new shit in the house, whatever, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense why someone who's still going through a recovery journey from literally, and some, like, it's still, for me, like, I enjoy eating cottage cheese. We know that isn't great for lactose intolerance, but I enjoy eating cottage cheese, but cottage cheese used to be a diet food for me, right?
Yeah.
So, like, it's still something that, like, when I buy cottage cheese, I'm like, oh, I'm doing this because I like cottage cheese,
Yeah.
not because, like, I'm measuring out, like, little spoonfuls
Yeah.
of it, right? It's still a mind fuck. Like, so
Yeah.
it's still okay.
Red Bull Zero.
A normal person, whatever. Like, I don't mean little spoonfuls
Yeah.
of it, right? It's still a mind fuck. Like, so
Yeah.
it's still okay to feel things around these things because you're still learning.
For sure.
You're still learning, and you're learning that these foods don't have any moral values, that it's okay that, but it's also, it's okay to have feelings around them.
Yeah.
It's okay. I think it
I don't think it is. I disagree with that. I really don't think it is okay. I think I've made that clear. Because it's boring. You really have to think of how boring it is. The fact that somebody you know is using Primal Kitchen dressing, like, boil it down to what it is. Is that actually interesting? Is that actually something that would elicit an emotional response organically? It's a boring fact. Oh, such and such is using primal dressing. You have to reach so far that you will break your back to have an emotional reaction to that. So no, I don't think it's okay to have feelings about it. I don't. I think what would be okay is to take in the information, maybe think about it logically and practically, or not at all.
it gets I don't know, it gets hard when you try so hard to not have those feelings, you know?
No, I think the biggest thing is to just try hard and to not think about it. That's the white knuckling it. It's not thinking about it anymore. Just saying, I'm not going to think about this. Just shut it down. Or saying, oh, that's stupid. That's really stupid that I'm thinking that. I'm going to stop. That's it.
So it's interesting because as someone in
But again,
eating,
sing it. So she's not just reinforcing the behaviors, but she's also reinforcing the mindset. It's okay to have feelings about that. It's not. It isn't.
recovery, I really haven't talked about food since Renfrew. Like, it's been a lot of like doing the trauma work and everything and like taking a step away from the food work. But Chelsea, my other therapist, I know we know Amber by name. Amber's my trauma therapist. Chelsea's my therapist. You hear the difference, right? Okay. Chelsea was my therapist when I was actually at Renfrew, and now she's outpatient. So I've just started to talk with her a little bit about like the food and stuff with Billy, and also fear foods, because I never realized I have fear foods. And it came up this week. Billy was like, I'm making burritos for dinner, and I said, you're making.
Yeah, it's giving that you have fear of primal dressing. You have a fear of a rice cake. You also have a fear of diet culture. You have a fear of not being able to control what other people around you eat. You have a fear of downsizing. Plenty of fears.
What? It's like burritos. I was like, oh, okay.
I knew you had fear of food the day we went to the Savannah Banana game and like certain.
I don't really think that she is afraid of eating a burrito. I think she'd think it was recovery or amazing or whatever. So I don't think that they understand too, like a lot of their emotional feedback or what they say or how they feel when they say it is different. Fear to me was when she talked about primal dressing. She was like, that was fear. Not talking about the burrito. That looked fake. But she's lying. See? That's a lie. Which people can't see it a lot of the time. And some of you guys can't. I know my one hater just cannot see when they lie. I don't know. I don't know why. But I can see that's a lie. Like, she's not actually afraid of that. It's giving acting. But again, I can tell because, well, I think a lot of you guys could tell too. If you've been in the issue, then you can tell that she's lying, you know? Because you've probably lied before. It's not that we're like fortune tellers. It's that we've done it before. I've done it before. Gosh, I think I'm gonna have to stop here. It's pissing me off. Let me see if I can do a little bit more. But okay, let me tell you this. I used to pretend to fear carbs. It's like you fear it so much, but when something goes wrong or whatever, when I was keto, I would immediately binge on carbs. That's not fear. Sorry, girl. It's not. It's giving false recovery. And I might have to call this video that. I think she fears real recovery. I think I am going to end it here. I think I've had enough. I think that's what she fears more than anything is she fears recovery. She fears letting go of the issue entirely. She fears no longer being able to talk about it. She fears who she would be without it. She fears all these different aspects. She's in desperate need of a tortured era, if I'd ever seen somebody. And I'm so sorry that she has trauma to go see a trauma therapist for. I truly am. It's heartbreaking. But like I said, I've never seen somebody more in need of a tortured era. She needs one bad. She needs to see reality without it. And the only way to do that is to stop. You have to stop. You have to white knuckle it. You have to brute force it. You stop obsessing. I don't know how to stop obsessing. You just stop. You say, I'm not going to think about it anymore. You look in the mirror. You start to spiral. You say, nope, we're not going to do that. That's stupid. And you do that long enough, and you'll make it to a tortured era. If your issues are severe, you'll get there. Because then you'll have to find yourself without it. Then you'll have to live without it. Be triggered and not have it anymore. And that's where a lot of actual full-on recovery happens. Being in recovery is stopping the behaviors. Being recovered is living without it. And I did my best to show an example of that on my channel. Because I was a hot mess a year ago. I really was. I've watched like health updates and stuff. And I was a hot mess. But I did it. I just kept going. Because I knew I wasn't going back. And I couldn't. Because my brain had healed. My body had healed where it was like I couldn't binge anymore. I'd be too full. But I'm just saying. With that, you guys, I'm going to go. Have a good one. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, night, etc. I will see you guys Monday. And for my members, I will see you tomorrow. If any of my members are watching, remember I'm doing a Q&A. So please go to the community post or the members only post and leave a comment there if you'd like me to answer one for tomorrow. I will see you guys later. Bye.